Buddy, I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 8 English lesson on capitalization. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 8. And once we have selected our grade, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of capitalization. All right. So our chapter is capitalization. Our subject is English language arts. Grade 8. And the lessons that we are focusing on under the chapter of capitalization is to correct capitalization errors. All right. So when it comes to capitalization, right, then we need to capitalize quite a few things, starting with we capitalize names of people, we capitalize names of places, we capitalize names of pets, we capitalize days of the week, months of the year, titles, we capitalize initials, we capitalize, right? We even capitalize titles of family members if it is used with a name or as a name. All right. So when we capitalize names of people and pets, right? So, for example, if we have an example of capitalizing names of people and pets, then it's like saying you are making mention of, let's say, somebody's name, Laura, or you are mentioning Jake or Jack, right? That is how we capitalize a name. So you're going to write the name with a capital letter. Jack, Anna, or Anne, right? So we capitalize that name of people. Also surnames, right? So if it's Ann Jacobs, then it needs to be capitalized. We also capitalize pets, right? So if you're just going to say that my dog, right, or my cat or my fish, then you don't capitalize, sorry, you don't capitalize words like dog or cat, for example, right? So we don't capitalize that, but we capitalize the name of your dog, right? So if the name of your dog is Sparky, or if the name of your cat is Fluffy, right? So that is what we capitalize. Then we also capitalize a title of respect, and that is if it is used with a name or as a name. So we do not capitalize a title with of respect if it is used as a common noun, right? So if I'm saying that I am going to the doctor, then going to the doctor is not capitalized, right? So for example, if I say I am going to the doctor, right? Then it means that this word doctor needs to be in lower cases. But as soon as I make mention of the doctor's name, then only it needs to be capitalized. So if I say I'm going to the doctor, then it needs to be lower cases. But as soon as I'm saying I am going to Dr. Chen, then it is capitalized, right? But as soon as the word doctor is used as a common noun, right, as general, right, a general name, then it must be lower cases. But as soon as it is, if you make mention of the doctor's name, and then it is, which is a proper noun, and then we capitalize it. And here we also have another example of President Nixon, Dr. Chin. So if you're just going to say that I saw the president at the White House, right? Then president needs to be lower cases because you are just talking about the president as in it's going to be a common noun. But as soon as you make mention of the president, right? I saw President um, Obama, for example, at the White House, then it needs to be capitalized because then you say capital letter P for president and you write his name, for example. Then we also need to capitalize the titles of family members, but that is only if it is used with a name or as a name. So we capitalize titles of family members, and that is if it's used as a name or as a name, with a name or as a name. And you do not capitalize titles of family members if it is used as a common noun. For example, mommy or Uncle Dave, right? But if you say my mother and you make some you say something about your mother and then it needs to be lower cases, right? So if you just say that my mother I spoke to my mother, then it is lower cases, right? Or my uncle, it's the same, then it needs to be lower cases. But as soon as you make mention of your uncle's name, right, or you just say mommy as a name, and then that needs to be capitalized. All right. Then we also need to capitalize initials. We need to capitalize initials. For example, if you are going to like write the initials of somebody, right? Or even abbreviate something, then it needs to be capitalized, or at least some of it needs to be capitalized. For example, the initials of, let's say, somebody's name and surname. So now they have two names. So JK is capitalized as well as the person's surname is capitalized. US for the United States is capitalized. DVD, right? Something video disc. And then FBI, Federal Bureau something, right? I think it's investigation. But that needs to be capitalized because it is initials, or even some abbreviations needs to be capitalized. And then also, we need to capitalize names of the months, so months of the year, days of the week, as well as holidays, including words like day and eve needs to be capitalized. So we have 7 days in the week, and the 7 days in the week needs to be capitalized. The same with the 12 months in the year, all right? Those 12 months in the year, whenever we write it down, it needs to be capitalized. If we still include our holidays, like for example, in South Africa, we have Human Rights Day, or I think nationally we have Good Friday or Easter, then those words needs to be capitalized. Christmas Day, Eid is capitalized. I think Ramadan is capitalized. And you should not forget about Eve, right? So if we're talking about New Year's, so New Year's is capitalized, and even New Year's Eve. That word Eve. So if it's Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, that needs to be capitalized. All right. All right. So a few more things that we need to capitalize, right? We need to also capitalize the names of historical events, historical periods, as well as documents, right? So if the documents, historical documents, places, periods have significant meanings to it, then we need to capitalize it. And if we look at certain words, like for example, Battle of Bunker, that needs to be capitalized. Hill Renaissance and Magna Carta, right? These are either historical events, periods, or even documents, and we need to capitalize it. We also need to capitalize languages, right? The languages that we speak, the religions, the nationalities, as well as and proper adjectives, right? We need to capitalize that. So if you belong either to a specific religion, language, nationality, right? Then we capitalize it. Say, for example, Arabic, Hinduism, Canadian, and Italian food. those needs to be capitalized. And we capitalize it because those are things that it carries meaning. It has significant meaning. I mean, like language. Language is important, right? Because language is cultural, it's religious also. And also, it is, some of the languages are universal. All right. So then as we continue, we also capitalize names of places, right? So whether it is names of cities, states, countries, and other political divisions, we need to capitalize it. For example, if we capitalize cities, it can be cities like London, or in my country, it would be Cape Town. States or countries and other political divisions like London, North Dakota, Madison County, or Mexico. All right. And remember, when it comes to names of places, right? Cities, states, countries, those are words that needs to be capitalized, right? And then we also have places that was built by people such as buildings, bridges, streets, and monuments, right? Like Linden High School, like the name of a school, we capitalize the names of a school. Whether you abbreviate the name of the school, it still needs to be capitalized. Bridges, rivers, those are things that needs to be capitalized. Golden Gate Bridge, Washington Monument, right? Then we have geographical features such as bodies of water and mountains and deserts and forests and continents. All of those needs to be capitalized. For example, the Nile River, Gobi Desert, Antarctica, Table Mountain, right? Mount Everest, Mount Kilimanjaro. Those are all words that needs to be capitalized. And then we also capitalize a direction word, right? For example, north, south, east, or west, that is our for direction words or direction points. So if it is used as the name of a particular region, right? For example, the southwest or the north, right? Then we capitalize it. But if you just say no, go north, go west, go south, go east, then we do not capitalize it. So you only capitalize it when it is used as a particular region. But if you use it as a form of direction, go left, go north, go south, then it should not be capitalized. And here we have an example of a giving directions, driving southwest, the northern horizon, right? So we don't capitalize that. And then lastly, we do not capitalize a word like the or of unless it is the first word of a sentence. So usually the word of and the is, I think that is probably one of the most popular words because you even find those words in, like, sometimes when you, let's say, universities, the University of, right? But that doesn't mean that we need to capitalize that. So that words of and the, we do not capitalize those words, but the rest of the words we capitalize. So unless that of or the is the start of a sentence, then it needs to be capitalized. And here we have an example of the Declaration of Independence, the Soviet unit, and the as well as of is lower cases. All right. So we basically, there's quite a few things that we need to capitalize, but we're starting with names of people, names of pets, days of the week, months of the year, right? We capitalize geographical features, titles, right? These are all things that also has a significant meaning, right? Initials we capitalize, right? Members of the family we capitalize only if it is used as a name, but not if it's used just as a common noun, right? Rivers, mountains, states, regions, we capitalize. Geographical features we capitalize. All right. So we are doing a tutorial lesson also on aplusstudents.ca. So we're going to aplusstudents.ca, and the lesson is to correct capitalization errors. So we literally just went through a whole list of words or things or features that we can or should capitalize, right? And these words or places or things, they carry meaning, right? All right. So now we went through all of the list of things or places that we need to capitalize, right? So now we're going to correct capitalization errors. So we're going to read a sentence and then we're going to correct the errors that needs us to capitalize. So if there's a word that needs to be capitalized, then we are going to fix it by adding or writing it with a capital letter. All right, so we're going to click to create the one capitalization error, right? It says China is the largest country located entirely in Asia, the world's largest continent. So China is the largest country located entirely in Asia, the world's largest continent. We need to click to correct the one capitalization error. And if we look at the one capitalization error, then it means that we need to fix Asia. All right. Oopsie. And if we were to correct that word, right? Asia. And then we're going to correct it by writing it capital letter A for Asia, right? And that is how we would fix that capitalization error. All right. We now need to click to correct the one capitalization error within the sentence. It is due to the success of her popular children's book, J.K. Rowling is one of the most well-known and best-selling British authors of all time. So, due to the success of her popular children's book, J.K. Rowling is now one of the most well known and best selling British authors of all time. So we now need to capitalize. All right. And if we are going to identify the word that needs to be corrected, then it's going to be authors, right? Because authors we actually write with a small letter, or in this case, so authors, right? Authors is written in like a capitalization or capitalized, but it needs to be lower cases. So authors is correct. All right, then lastly, it says civil rights pioneer W.E.B. Du Bois was born in Massachusetts but became a citizen of Ghana in 1961. All right, so if we were to capitalize or fix the capitalization error, then it means that pioneer does not need to be capitalized. So civil rights pioneer does not need to be capitalized. All right. So remember, when it comes to capitalization, right? We capitalize a lot of things, starting with names of people, names of pets, right? Titles, family members, geographical features, right? All right. So now we are going to our test, right? So this is where we are going to capitalize certain errors. And remember, errors can either be where they have capitalized it and we need to write it in lower cases, or it is in lower cases and we need to write it with a capital letter. All right, so for example, it's not an example, but it says, number one says, we need to firstly correct capitalization errors. Click the word, click click to correct the one capitalization error. It says, last Wednesday, my boss flew to Europe for a technology conference on parallel programming. So last Wednesday, my boss flew to Europe for a technology conference on parallel programming. Is that great? Is that boss, sorry, as that needs to be um that we need to correct the capitalization, or is it Wednesday? All right, and if we choose the correct word that needs the capitalization error, then we can say boss, right? Because Wednesday is already correct, so boss. So boss needs to be written with lower cases, right? Not capitalized. Alaska was officially proclaimed the 49th state of the United States on January 3rd, 1959. And it says Alaska was officially proclaimed the 49th state of the United States on January 3rd, 1959. Is it the first one that says state and January needs to be in lower cases, or state and January? All right, and if we were to click on the two capitalization errors, then we can say it's the first one, which is state and January, because January is a month of the year, and that is what we need to capitalize. Ah, oh, we need to lowercase state. Sorry. So the state is in lower cases, but January is capitalized. So it's only that one. So it's the second option. Apologies for that one. Then China is the largest country located entirely in Asia, the world's largest continent. We need to capitalize the one area that you see. Is it Asia or is it world? Asia or world? All right, and if we capitalize at one area, then it's going to be Asia, right? And well done. Asia is needed to be capitalized. We now need to click the two capitalization errors. By urban population, Mexico City, the capital of Mexico, is the largest city in North America. So is it capital and Mexico or population and Mexico? But we need to correct the two errors. All right, and if we are going to correct our two errors, right? The two capitalization errors, then we're going to lowercase capital and we're going to capitalize Mexico, right? So the first one is correct. So now we need to click the correct only one capitalization error. It says Edward R. Murrow was a famous American journalist who became a household name during World War II when a series of radio news broadcasts were followed by millions of listeners. All right, so we need to capitalize, is it journalist or is it world? They say that he was a famous American journalist who became a household name during World War II. So is it journalist or world for World War II? All right, so we can say world for World War II, not journalist. Yeah. So now we're going to click the correct one capitalization error. It says, due to the success of her popular children's book, J.K. Rowling is now one of the most well known and best selling British authors of all time. So we need to say is authors either with lower cases or is British with capital letter. And if we're going to choose that one capitalization error, then it's going to be lowercase authors, right? All right, let's do the last one. It says in 1966, Mulana Karenga created the holiday of Kwanzaa, a week-long celebration that honors African values and traditions. We need to correct one capitalization error. Is it tradition that needs to be capitalized or African that needs to be capitalized? All right. So we're going to say African. All right. So that was it on capitalization. We see that there is actually a list of things that you can capitalize or need to capitalize, starting with names of people, right? So names and surnames of people, names of pets, right? You can capitalize the name of your pet, not dog, cat, the name of your pet, right? Like Spotty or Sparky or Rex or something. We capitalize months of the year, days of the week. Um, we capitalize titles, geographic features, mountains, rivers. Those are things that you capitalized, right? And then there's also a few initials that we capitalize or abbreviations. But there's actually a whole list of things that one can and should capitalize, right? Things who are names of things that are common noun, we don't capitalize that. All right, so this is now the end of our lesson on capitalization. Thank you very much for joining the class, and I really hope you're going to have a good day further. Goodbye.